TaylorMade's been selling horses for going on 45 years. And I think continually what we're trying to do is push the envelope and innovate in how we're bringing horses to the market for our customers.
Hey, good evening. My name is Levi Dunlap. I am the Sales Operations Manager for TaylorMade Sales Agency. And on behalf of TaylorMade, I'd like to welcome all of you to our experience with you in our event. We're excited to share a little bit about TaylorMade and share with you some of the experiences of our panel. Basically, just to introduce you and kind of give some insight on just taking that first step to get into the thoroughbred industry. I understand you're all equine students, so just trying to break the ice for you and offer a opportunity that all of you could be a part of. So we are a full service thoroughbred farm based just outside of Lexington, Kentucky, the horse capital of the world. We specialize in boarding stallions and sales and a full equine management portfolio. So it's a family-run operation. Started out with 4 brothers and then entered in a longtime friend and colleague, Pat Payne. Some of our accomplishments that we were able to do over the years is since our inception, we've sold over $2.7 billion in bloodstock, including 126 Grade 1 winners raised and or sold, with 10 of those being in 2021. So we've also had 20 Breeders' Cup winners throughout the years, and some of those are repeat winners who have won a Breeders' Cup race more than once. So, and we've also been the overall leading consignor 26 of the last 28 years and the last 10 years in a row. So we feel like we can offer you a good experience to get into the industry. We have a lot of great minds behind TaylorMade and what goes into the process of raising and selling a thoroughbred to get them to the racetrack and overall be a success. So if you would like to know more about TaylorMade or do anything, you can visit TaylorMadeFarm.com, see a little bit more about TaylorMade, some of the stories that I didn't cover in this. And then anyone who signs up, we will share the internship information with you, the curriculum we've created, and kind of what that entails. So so with further ado, I will introduce you to a video we did with Mark Taylor, who's the president and CEO of TaylorMade, and he will introduce our panel that we're going to be speaking with today.
Welcome. My name is Mark Taylor, and I'm president and CEO of TaylorMade Farm and Sales Agency. I just want to welcome you today to our webinar where we're going to talk about exciting opportunities for internships here at TaylorMade as a gateway to the thoroughbred industry. Here at TaylorMade, one of our passions is helping young people find their career path in the industry, and we've been blessed over the years to have hundreds of young people come through TaylorMade from all over the world and get their start here. The prerequisites are you got to have a passion for horses, you got to have a strong work ethic, and you got to be willing to sacrifice to learn and really sink yourself into this great game that we all love. So on our panel today, we've got 4 very interesting people from different backgrounds that have all been very successful in the thoroughbred industry and all had their roots in one way or another attached to TaylorMade. First is Leif Aaron, and Leif grew up in central Kentucky. He worked at Juddmonte Farm while he was in high school, later did a research internship with us while he was at the University of Kentucky, and later worked for TaylorMade as a thoroughbred advisor and also doing research before going on and taking a position at Juddmonte Farm as their director of nominations for their stallions, and now recently has moved to Fasig-Tipton as director of their digital sales platform. So Leif has carved out a great career in the thoroughbred industry and he started off here at TaylorMade, and I think it really gave him access to a great career path. Second person I want to mention is Lauren Carlisle. Lauren was somebody passionate about horses her whole life. She started out as a hot walker with Tom Amos, ended up coming to TaylorMade in 2015 with an office administrative position, and eventually found herself back with Tom Amos picking out horses, and now she's an independent bloodstock agent and is having a lot of success and has clients from all over the country. The next person we want to talk about is Jacob West. Jacob is from Paducah, Kentucky. No real ties to the horse industry before he came to UK. Got very intrigued with the horse business going out to Keeneland, and was working at a bank when he made a connection through a mutual friend to us here at TaylorMade. He came out and wanted to give it a trial run, worked some sales, ultimately quit his bank job, and started full-time at TaylorMade. And after about a 5-year stint here, was actually hired away and is now an independent agent, as well as being vice president of bloodstock with Eclipse Thoroughbreds. And he was the leading buyer as agent at the biggest horse sale in North America, Keeneland, September last year. So these people all have backgrounds that are entrenched in TaylorMade one way or the other. The last panelist we have is Dr. Allie Picken, who is currently what we would call our resident vet here at TaylorMade. She works for Rood & Riddle, but she spends most of her days here at TaylorMade overseeing our herd of horses, from mares and babies through yearlings. And Allie started off as an intern at Rood & Riddle and ultimately found her way to TaylorMade, and then has become an integral part of our team. So all these people have different backgrounds. They've been on different paths. They've all had different connections to TaylorMade. So we hope to just show all of our viewers here today that there are possibilities. This game is not impossible to break into, but you've got to be committed and you've got to have passion. It's very competitive, and a lot of people love this game and want to get involved. So we hope that you become one of those people, and that maybe today can be the start of something great for you and your future career. So I hope you enjoy, and we look forward to seeing you at the sales.
Hey guys, how are you?
Hey.
Hello.
Thanks for joining in with us. I will let everybody know Jacob West is currently in Dubai right now, so he is having some connectivity issues. So not sure if he'll jump on the call, but if he does make it on the call, then we'll head straight to him. So I think one thing that's important to start this interview with is none of these people that we have in this industry or in this interview who are highly successful people in this industry come from a blue blood background, or the stereotypical, oh, they grew up in it, so that's how they got successful in it. You know, it came from hard work and dedicating themselves to their craft that kind of got them where they're at. So to start the interview, Lauren, you know, we're close to Louisville, and I know you grew up in just outside of Houston. You came to the equine school at the University of Louisville, correct?
Yes, I did.
And so, you know, I was watching on it, and you kind of got your first foray into the industry, not wanting to go home for a summer, correct? Tell us about how kind of you got into that and what you did that summer.
Yeah, so after my freshman year, I didn't really want to go home. I mean, not that I didn't want to go home, but I wanted to work and stay in Louisville. So I went to the people that were running the program at the time and asked them if they had any connections for me just to get a summer job. I didn't really care what I was doing or how much I was getting paid or getting paid at all. And they suggested to go to Churchill Downs and walk hots for a trainer in the summer. So that's how I got tied into that. It was just suggested for me to do. And I had a couple trainers' phone numbers that were given to me. And the first one that I called was Tom Amos. So I called him, went out there. I don't know if you'd call it an interview. It was more of like, come out here and see if I can scare you off of this job. Basically, being a hot walker or just working at the racetrack in general is 7 days a week. You're there 4:45 in the morning. That's the time that the barn shows up. So it's not easy work, especially for a 19-year-old, in college. So a lot of commitment to do the job. But yes, that's how I got connected with that job that summer.
Absolutely, and that's actually we'll touch that later on. But the first relationship you built working for Tom has kind of helped propel your career and
Absolutely
part of your partnership now, and so we'll touch on that. I've got a couple interesting questions for you on that front.
Sure.
Leaf, you grew up right down the road, essentially. And what piqued your interest to come to TaylorMade doing an research internship while you were in college after you had got a little start at Juddmonte Farm working in the barns? What piqued you to come and do that? You're on mute, Leaf.
Sorry about that, Levi. I'll never forget the moment that I decided to look for something different. And I had been working at Juddmonte for years at the time, and we were in the middle of a polar vortex, and the waters had frozen up on the farm, and I was out there with a twitch beating the ice out of those waters, and I thought to myself, I'm paying to go to college right now, and I'm not sure this is the best use of my degree. So I started looking for things, and luckily a little internship came up with TaylorMade, and so it was doing pedigree research, and I didn't know anything about pedigrees or research or anything like that, and so I had memorized TaylorMade stallions so that in the interview it seemed like I knew what I was talking about. And I just worked really hard at it, and I learned a ton at TaylorMade. And I mean, more than anything at TaylorMade, they were willing to give me jobs and give me opportunity to prove myself. And I don't think you're going to find that everywhere in the thoroughbred business. It's very unique to TaylorMade that they're willing to let their staff do things and try things and figure out what they want to do. So that was what first piqued my interest in TaylorMade.
Okay. And Dr. Pickin, you've been our vet for quite a few years, but you didn't have the most direct way into coming. You actually went to vet school out of the country, right? So
I did, yes.
What brought you to want to apply to Root and Riddle and come to Kentucky?
I think, for me, that was like always the dream, growing up with horses, working on horse farms, getting to Lexington. I remember the first time I came here and I was like, I have to be here. So I went to vet school kind of with the mindset that I would try to make it to Kentucky. And I did a week-long externship in my final year of vet school at Root and Riddle, and just absolutely fell in love with the place. And I actually did go to TaylorMade during that week, and I remember it very well, and applied for the internship, got in, and then never left. So
well, we're lucky you didn't. It's been a great relationship. So Leaf, you actually, after all that, went and got into the Darley Flying Start program, which, anybody who's not familiar with that, it is one of the most prestigious programs in our industry. You traveled, I think, 4 different countries, working in different aspects of the industry. And in doing that and getting in such a prestigious position, what brought you back to TaylorMade with getting that experience across the world? What drew you back to come and then become a thoroughbred advisor with us?
After I'd finished the Godolphin Flying Start, it was kind of a, Mark had been in touch with me, and Mark is who we saw the video from earlier, who was the director of public sales at the time, and he had been in touch with me when I was finishing, and I will say that's something about TaylorMade that had been great. It's kind of a family atmosphere, and he had kept up with me throughout my travels doing that program, and kind of, what are you doing? What are you thinking about doing towards the end of the course? And a job had came open at TaylorMade, basically being the stakes filly recruiter, which is recruiting the expensive horses to sell in the November breeding stock auctions for TaylorMade. So, it was easy for me to come back because I knew that it was really a family-oriented operation, and at that point in my life, I was starting a family, and I knew everybody already at the farm, and I kind of knew an idea of how TaylorMade worked. So I was really happy to get back in an organization, to have maybe a little different job title than what I had before I left, and something a little more. I wanted to be in a little more of a bloodstock role instead of a research role, and that gave me the opportunity. So once again, like I had in the research role, I just grabbed the opportunity and worked really hard at it. And once again, TaylorMade was willing to give me a chance when I had no experience doing what I was doing, but it worked out, and the people there guided me through it. They gave me very good instruction, and those days I had there are priceless, really, because Frank Taylor used to always joke that TaylorMade is the Harvard of horse sales, and it really kind of is. It's you're going to learn everything about it, and it's a great opportunity. And anytime you get any opportunity in the horse business, as long as you work hard at it, you're going to be successful.
Right. And Lauren, so you held a couple after you did that and graduated from school. You went to Glen Hill Farm, and then shortly after, I believe you came to TaylorMade. So, but after you came to TaylorMade, you worked with us in an administrative role and took on with the sales. And then you kind of went out and started your own bloodstock agency, and the name of that is Black Dog Bloodstock, right?
Correct. Yeah, that's not very public though, Levi. Thanks for No, I don't I started an LLC, but I don't sign tickets under that name. It's more of just like my business operating, but it's named after my dog. So yeah.
Okay.
But most people don't really know that because I don't really talk about it. But
yeah, I heard it in a podcast, so forgive me.
Yeah, no, you're fine. It's funny because most people don't know, but yeah, I did. So I started that in 2008, the summer of 18, like late summer of 18. So I've been doing that for a couple of years now.
Yeah. So in going to that, with having your track experience and administrative experience, do you think, like, hot walking on the track, for anybody that's not familiar with it, is basically cooling the horses out after they go work or gallop, do their work on the track in the morning. You cool them out, and basically that is most of your job. You can do a few other things, but
Right.
basically just walking them around and letting them down after that exercise. But how do you feel that starting at the track and doing that helped you with your bloodstock and selecting horses, and just having that as a foundation mixed with the other jobs that you held?
I think it was extremely important. I mean, I would suggest working at the racetrack to anybody that is willing to do it. Like I said, it's a 7-day-a-week job, and it's early hours, but the knowledge that you gain working at the racetrack is irreplaceable. And especially if you're wanting to get into bloodstock, I would say it's almost somewhat mandatory in my mind, because what you learn there, and what you see not only from training, but the vet work involved, in horses at the racetrack, and you know good stakes horses down to claiming horses. Just seeing the realm of what those horses look like, what it takes for them just to get in the starting gate. There's so much involved that you can't know unless you've been there. It's hard to replace that experience to me. So I absolutely value it, and I would suggest anybody to do it if they want to get involved in this industry, for sure.
And just to the viewers, if you all have any questions or anything that comes up while we're doing this, fire them off in the comment section. We'll try to get to them as we go. I'll try to incorporate them into the talk. If not, then I will answer all of you when we get done. But so moving to the sale a little bit, Dr. Picken, a vet's job is essentially never done, especially in reproduction and in what you do, in every aspect, right? You're working with horses of all ages. What's a typical day like for you at the sale, like hours wise? How many horses might you see in a day? And kind of go through that a little bit with us.
So I try to get there pretty early to sale. So, and the mornings are early. And I start off just by treating any horses that need treated, looking at any horses that have problems in the morning before all the buyers get there, to look at them. And then from there, I kind of move into the other side of it, vetting horses for clients. And, then we're shipping in horses almost every day, especially during, September, November. And each horse that passes through that ships in the sale gets looked at by a vet at least once. So checking all those horses and dealing with, horses getting tired, getting dehydrated, things like that. I mean, I can see anywhere up to 150 horses and more a day during a busy day during the sale. You get to see everything out there for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. So I think people can kind of understand, like, the buying end. You've got to see the horse. You evaluate the horse. You see what you like. But when you say vetting the horse, what do you mean for the viewers?
So it's a little bit different now because we have the a lot of scope videos in the repository, but it's, a lot of it's doing a scope of the horse's airway. It's just doing a physical exam, looking at their eyes, listening to their heart, checking their, the male reproductive organs, watching them walk, looking for, any issues with their limbs, any subtle lamenesses. Kind of depending on buyers, you might be looking for a little bit more, looking more from a confirmation standpoint, but that, blood stock agents, they're the ones that are really kind of evaluating that. We're just there for the overall health of the horse and soundness of the horse, trying to pick out any issues that could come up in the future.
Okay. And so, Leaf, we had mentioned you run now the digital sales, which is a fairly new platform. It's navigating waters that the industry has kind of never been in. And so there's a lot of marketing to go with it, a lot of outreach. And one of TaylorMade's strengths that we feel we have is our marketing potential. And you've been on the end of recruiting some of our most successful fillies that TaylorMade's ever sold. So how do you think, like, in doing that before, that helped you in managing this digital platform and kind of what that side of TaylorMade means to getting a horse sold?
I think that TaylorMade has always been on the cutting edge of marketing. I think even from the early days of the farm that they felt like they could present horses in a way that was done much more professional, with a lot more showmanship than had been done in years past. I think before TaylorMade, people would just lead their horses in from out of the field into the sales environment. And once that it would be like selling a brand new car that was covered in mud. It doesn't, it doesn't make any sense. So, TaylorMade got in the habit of prepping the horses for the sales and trying everything marketing wise that they could possibly do. So for me, when I was in that role, any idea I came up with, whether it was crazy or not, they were willing to take a shot at, because they knew that was important. That was the past of the farm. So we started doing things like making DVDs for the owners of the races of the horses. We started making apparel for the owners of those horses. We just started really, I call it hand-to-hand combat, is calling people and getting them on the phone and explaining to them what you're going to do and why you want to sell their horse. And now going to this digital platform, I understand a lot of how all this works because of TaylorMade, and my time there is, what makes a horse bring more money? What are the buyers looking for? What are the best selling points about a horse? These are all things that I'm versed in because of my time at TaylorMade. And, they sell such a volume of horses that you're going to learn a lot about what a horse is worth, what makes them worth what they're worth, how to read a pedigree, how to value a horse. Those are the sort of things that are really invaluable. And there is no school that's going to be able to teach you how to appraise a horse. You're going to have to do something like this to learn. And you're going to see that once you get in a sales environment, that's what the people are talking about. What's this horse going to bring? And, how much action does it have? And why would somebody not be on the horse? Why would they be on the horse? And, I've known Levi for a long time now, and we don't even work together anymore, but we still talk about that when I see him at the sales. Is, what do you think about this one? What do you think about that one? And it's fun. It's a lot of fun. And I think you're going to find the sales environment as a very fun time where you're going to meet a lot of people that you probably wouldn't have met before, and a lot of characters around there. And I think overall, if you're willing to work, it's a very good time.
Absolutely. And just to add on to that, it's time consuming. It takes a lot of time at the sale, but it is fun. There's a lot of moving parts, a lot of horses selling. It's just a lot of action, and it is a great way to break through and get into the industry and just see what it's all about, because in no time you really get a lot of things thrown at you within the horse industry and what it takes to sell a horse that is just invaluable. So Lauren, you've been on both sides of it. You've been on the selling end, you've helped us be on the selling end, and you're on the buying end. What do you like most about shopping at TaylorMade?
Well, main thing is quality, number one. Number two, quantity, which both of those TaylorMade offers at pretty much every sale. Usually TaylorMade has the most volume of the sale. And I think as far as being on the side of working at the consignment, it, like Leaf was saying, just to kind of piggyback off that, you see everything. And you'll see every buyer. I mean, all the major players shop at TaylorMade. You'll see all the vets coming in, vetting the horses, the appraisal process that happens at the sale from the consigners. I mean, and then the actual selling, taking horses to the ring, all of that combined is a huge learning experience. And on the other side of it, from buying, when I go to TaylorMade, I pretty much know what I'm going to get, if that makes sense. So no matter what book you're shopping in, there'll be good horses. TaylorMade is supported by very good clients and very good breeders that are successful at breeding a good horse, a sound horse. And most of the time, you can get a good feeling and you can get an honest feeling of what the horse might bring, and just a good idea of kind of what you're dealing with when you're buying. And you can't say that for every consignor, unfortunately. So
Absolutely, and it is. It's a tough industry. It takes a lot of time. It can wear on you, but the successes behind it are kind of what can keep you going, and the love of the horse, right? I mean,
Sure.
a lot of people say if you don't understand how people love horses, just let them breathe on you and touch them, and you can establish a connection with them. So, talking about a tough business, and Allie, in repro, and this time of year, you're attending foalings or sick horses in the middle of the night, all throughout the day. What keeps you waking up and doing it? I mean, there's good times and there's bad, but what keeps driving you through to get up at 3 a.m. and turn back around in an hour or two and have to do your regular daily routine?
Well, it's a lot of factors. I mean, I definitely think it comes down primarily to the love of horses. You could not do it. You could not sleep 2 hours every night if you didn't love it. But the people are so motivating, especially at TaylorMade. When I get called in the middle of the night, I'm not upset to go because honestly, I have fun, and it's challenging mentally, physically, and it's a social job. You're always around people. I think that's a bigger aspect. People think you're getting to adjust for the horses, but the people are such a big part of it, even as a vet. So that's kind of what keeps me going. It's this kind of team atmosphere. Everybody wants to do the best thing. I know somebody's calling me for the right reasons, because they genuinely think, there's something that needs to be dealt with. And that's just the people and the horses that just keeps you going, even in the hard and tiring times.
Absolutely, and I see a comment had come in about how to meet people to shadow for opportunities, and that's one thing about TaylorMade is being at a consignment at TaylorMade with any sale. You can always we have a lot of relationships within the industry that there is always somebody looking to help out the next person in this industry. I think it is one of the best industries for that. Of course, you have to find somebody that fits you and fits what works for you and what works for the both of you together. But I do think just in every aspect, whether it be with a vet, a bloodstock agent, a director of research like at TaylorMade, any of our thoroughbred advisors, myself on the ground running the crew, from grooms to showmen to anything like that. I do think that there are just unlimited opportunities to shadow people, and I'm sure all three of you all have had experiences shadowing somebody, whether it be your first sale, whether it be your first job, whatever, that has kind of helped push you forward and give you experience. And I think what TaylorMade is very good about establishing connection like that, to get you with the right people. So, Leaf, I will ask you this: what is one horse that is most important or special to your career, that has the biggest impact for you?
Well, from while I was at TaylorMade, I would say the horse that has the biggest, there's career impacts and there's life impacts, and the life impacts to me are more important. But there was a horse named Evening Jewel that I had recruited and sold, and it was the first $1 million horse I had ever sold. It was actually $1.5 million, and I'll never forget it. And I bought my wife's engagement ring with that money that I had earned from that. And so to me, that was a life-changing horse sale. And, that was funny because I had recruited it, and actually a TaylorMade client had bought her. So that was a way that, the most influential horse probably I've sold in my career, that affected my entire life. kind of ties back into TaylorMade. So, no, that's by far the one that sticks out the most to me. And the people we sold her for were absolutely great people. And it's, that was a situation I'll never forget.
Lauren, what you got?
Okay. Probably the first horse that I one of the first that I bought myself at a 2-year-old sale. His name's Long Weekend. He won a couple stakes, and he's earned $100,000 more than what we paid for him, what the client paid for him. So, and he's kind of like one of my first horses. So, and he's still running today. So, love him. He's my favorite by far.
Absolutely. And to just go on that, like with buying horses, every bloodstock agent can buy the perfect horse that for some reason does not work out, whether a training incident, just natural causes, the horse gets sick. There's so many hoops that a horse has to jump through to be successful on the racetrack, or even make the racetrack at that, just because they have so many processes and so many hands that has to be involved in that. So when Lauren says that and the horse makes money, that is a huge accomplishment, because it
really is.
I mean, they can't talk to you. They can't tell you how they feel. They can't, they can show you. And that's part of the horsemanship and learning is seeing what's going on with them and trying to read their mind. But, they're not like a human patient that can say, hey, my stomach hurts, or I've got this going on. So accomplishments of buying a good horse that can be profitable for people that do that. It takes a lot of hard work. You have to go through a lot of horses unless one falls in your lap. And I'm sure everybody has an instance of that. But, when Lauren's going out and looking at horses, if it's a typical September sale, she's probably looking at 3,000 to 3,500 horses. If there's 4,000 in a sale, or, give or take a few, she might see all of them, just depending on time constraints and everything else. So it's a rigorous process to rule out these horses. So when you can pick ones that can make you money and be successful on the racetrack, when there is a small percentage that can do that, that is a great accomplishment. So Allie, what horse do you have that's most influential to you?
Well, I feel like a lot of my memorable horses are probably for the wrong reasons. So, and we've had, a lot of famous horses pass through TaylorMade, but those are always healthy ones. So they don't get to see me very often. But I actually had a case, and it was just a year ago, so not long ago, but it kind of was a revisitation of, of my belief system, because it's like amazing how quickly you can become cynical in this industry, especially as a vet. You see so many things that don't work out, and you work so hard at cases and they end up, not going the way that you hoped. And we had this yearling last year, and he everything that could go wrong with him went wrong with him. You'd get over one hump and then you'd climb another mountain. He was in the hospital a few times, and he would get healthy and then something else would happen. And I just remember thinking several times, this horse is not going to make it, and this is kind of like we're just throwing money away. And I was having all these thoughts, and I wasn't really voicing it, because everybody around me, all these people with these years and years of experience, I couldn't understand why they were just like, let's keep going, we're going to keep going. And they kept saying, like, look at that horse, like he is fighting. And he was, everything, even when he was on death's doorstep, didn't even want to stand, he was fighting me every time I tried to touch him. And I think it was just a big lesson in, like, look at the horse, don't look at the list of problems the horse has. Sometimes the horse is going to tell you what needs to be done if they want to live. And the horse, actually, he just went into training as a 2-year-old. So that's very exciting. He's got a name, and just excited to see what he does, because I did not think he would, make it very long in this world. So just things like that are exciting to me.
Yeah, that's incredible, especially because horses, right? They're fight or flight, prey animals. So they're not used to. I mean, ours are, around Kentucky, but their natural instinct is not to be drawn to people; it's to be drawn away. And we teach them that from day one. When the baby comes out, we're working with them. We're picking their feet. We're putting our hands and brushes all over them just to have the feel of a human, to let them know, hey, look, we're here with you. We're not going to hurt you. And they learn to rely on us instead of, trying to go the other way when they see us as a threat. So when you see ones that you can treat like that let you treat them, that I do feel that they understand when we're trying to help them, and they almost fight for you. It seems like when you establish that connection, and it's just like on the racetrack and everything else. When you have a horse that goes out, and a lot of them just go out and they try for you, they kind of go through all the tests that you put them through. And, like I said, that they can't really talk back. They can act out a little bit, which they do, but just the experience you get with them by teaching them all that, and then see how hard they work for you and how much they seek your approval, is really a magical thing to me, which is one thing that always keeps me drawn into this industry. And just there's always other special ones that come up all the time that mean the world to people. So I've got a couple questions in, and any of you can answer. And so somebody asked, for someone who's never been to a thoroughbred sale, what do you think would be the most surprising?
Probably more than anything, the amount of money that these horses are selling for.
I was going to say that.
Yeah, and it depends on, what sale you're going to. But I know a lot of the horses at TaylorMade are owned by people that are outside the farm. And for some people, this is a large percentage of their net worth, and they risk a lot of money in raising these horses, and they entrust, I think, the employees of TaylorMade more than anything to take care of their investments, and they're large investments. I mean, you're selling horses that can bring millions of dollars, and there's some horses on the farm that are going to bring a couple $1,000s. So I think the most important thing is that you treat every horse the same, treat them all like they're the multi-million-dollar horses. And I think that's what would surprise the average everyday person coming to a thoroughbred auction is what they're selling for.
Absolutely.
Yep, I'd second that. I would say the same thing, for sure.
Yeah, it is. It's a Keeneland September, a Fasig-Tipton Night of the Stars, or Keeneland November the start. I mean, you can really see fireworks with these horses, and if you get a couple big buyers locked up on a horse, the lengths they'll go to own that horse when they fall in love with it. I mean, it's magical to see the people in the back ring, the spirited bidding, the relationships built, people partnering with each other based on, the both of them or a few different entities liking them. So, yeah, it is a great thing. It'll make the hair on the back of your neck stand up. So for people asking where you can apply for the TaylorMade internships, will be flashing across your screen. You can apply with that, and I will send you all the information you need. And yes, there are summer internships. We'll have summer, fall, winter internships. Some of them go when you would be out of school. Some would be during weeks throughout the school year. So we have a lot of sales, and we'll certainly be very mobile and accommodating to what we can get worked out to the people that would like to apply and that we accept for the internship. So we've covered a lot, and I can't thank you guys enough. I respect all of you a great deal. Work closely with all of you in various different aspects of the business and at the sales on the farm, etc. So, ending the chat, one thing I'd like to ask all of you is, and Leaf, I'll start with you. If you can go back and tell your 15, whenever you started to get into the industry, if you can go back and give yourself some advice when pushing forward and coming on into the industry, what would it be?
I think it would be stay the course more than anything, because there were times where I would get very frustrated with the business in general. And I think more than anything, if I could go back and tell myself, like, just keep doing what you're doing, like keep working hard, keep taking advantage of opportunities, and you'll get there eventually. And that's the advice I would give my my younger self.
Okay, Lauren, how about you?
Kind of what Leaf said for sure. Maybe ask more questions. Especially when I worked at TaylorMade, I asked a ton of questions. But if you want to learn something and somebody's there doing it, don't be scared to ask. And just try to be a sponge and learn as much as you can. And I will say, one thing I didn't get to say earlier, when I worked at TaylorMade, I was in an office position. And my boss at the time, her name was Sue, she knew, and pretty much everyone knew, that I didn't want to be in the office. So I would, try to sneak out on the farm. A mare would foal and I'd run out there and go watch the mare foal, or Frank would drive me in a truck and show me horses and ask me, what do you see when you look at this horse? Because he knew I wanted to do bloodstock basically one day. And I think just taking advantage of those opportunities and asking questions and just trying to learn as much as you can from whatever position you're in, even if it's a position that you don't really want to be in, or maybe you don't want to be in it long term. Try to make the best of it and move forward from there.
Absolutely. Dr. Pickin?
Yeah, I would say, similar to both those, just learn everything and do everything. I mean, before I went to vet school, I did every job. I worked in barns, I worked sales, I worked the standardbred sales, and, had an office job with a farm. And just getting the diverse feeling of every single area of the industry is so beneficial. It makes people respect you more as well, and you can really relate to people better. And just do everything and absorb everything around you. I mean, working at TaylorMade, you're working with some of the best horsemen and women that are out there, and I have learned more, in my years being there, even as a vet, from those people than I did in school, in previous jobs. So just keep your ears open and be observant and do everything.
Absolutely. And one thing I think that is a positive to coming and starting at the sale is it opens up the mind, because you see these things so fit and so ready for a sale, and it makes you think, well, what all went into this? And then you start digging in a little bit more, and you hear from people of what all it went to get the horse to that point, from coming off the racetrack to getting the mare pregnant, to having the foal, to raising it to a yearling, to getting it fit enough for the sale, to selling it, to then going to the breaking process. And so, one thing is, like they said, immerse yourself in the industry, learn as much as you can, but you can also at the sale find those little niches of what interests you, and you can start at that point. In all levels of that, there's so many people in this industry that it doesn't take the horse knowledge to get a start. It takes the willingness to learn. And for me, that has always been number one. Sometimes I would rather somebody with no experience, because with just a willingness to learn, because you can not manipulate, but you can teach them how you would like it done, and they can do it. But being intelligent enough can also come up with their own ideas and shed light to me and teach me something in the process. I've had people that have taught me ways of doing things that have worked a week at TaylorMade, that came up with some way to treat a horse or do something that in the hundreds of years horses have been around, and as many bright people have been to TaylorMade, that nobody ever thought of, or that wasn't passed down. So, it's something everybody can benefit from, to get that, find which direction you want to go, or if you want to start from the ground up. That's kind of the way I did it. But many people start, at various levels. Lauren started at the racetrack and kind of worked her way back, and then worked her way back forward, and so it's just different ways you can go about it. And there's really no correct way, as long as you're learning and you've got a willingness to learn, and you're keeping yourself happy and just immersed within it. So again, it should be flashing across the screen, www.taylormadefarm.com. That's where you can inquire about the internships, fill it out. We'll be with you. We'll get you all the necessary information. And I don't see any more questions. So guys, I think this should be the end of the interview and conversation. I thank you guys for taking time out of your days. It's a busy time of year. You're all busy. Have your respected areas that you're doing things in. Leaf, congrats on the digital sale today. Lauren, go buy the next good 2-year-old in the alley. I'm sure you'll be on the farm soon enough tonight. So thank you guys. I greatly appreciate it.
Thanks, Levi.
Thanks, Levi.
Thanks, everybody.
Good luck.